Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. I want to talk about having a nice attitude in your business. One of the most important things to be thankful for, if you've ever had a corporate job and a boss and were at risk of losing your income overnight, is the independence you get from having your own business. Whatever trials are happening, you're the boss and you sort of control your destiny. You're in a much better condition than if you had a boss and a corporate job, much more stability financially. So one of the things I like to do is I monitor my internal dialogue. If I catch myself dwelling on something negative, I switch to neutral only. If I'm thinking about something that's happening in the business, I put my foot down and I stop myself thinking about, what's the worst case scenario, and I decide I'm going to think neutral only or better. I try to stay positive. If you decide I'm only going to think positive, then as you project what's happening forward, you can decide there's going to be a positive outcome at some point. This will be resolved. So keeping a positive attitude, neutral or better. At the worst case, stop the internal negative dialogue and focus on and switch to neutral only. The next thing I like to do is when interacting with staff, positive only for the team. When people are hired, this policy is communicated to them. When we're in group settings, we focus on the positive. And if there's something negative that's going on, take that up with your supervisor. So in a sales meeting in particular, which is, sales is sort of a mentally tougher job than other jobs in the company, you want to have a policy in place for the whole team, positive only. And if there's an issue, take it up with your supervisor. So another thing that I like to do is if there's a challenge that's going on, I go through the day and I think about a couple of things that happened that were good, a couple of good outcomes. So for example, you can say to yourself, okay, I had a to-do list. I got something done on my to-do list. That's a good thing. That's a good outcome. Someone may have given you a compliment for something you did. That's a good thing. You can go through the day, find positive things that happened, and you can focus on them. At the end of the day, you can say, this was a good day. Several positive things happened. Probably the most important thing you can realize is at the end of the day, you were there, you showed up, the business stayed running. That's a huge positive, keeping the business going. With you showing up despite whatever trials might be happening. Another thing I like to do daily, vigorous exercise, a brisk walk or a bike ride for 15 minutes, maybe twice during the day, in the morning and then the afternoon, tends to clear the mind and releases endorphins. If you're engaging in a brisk walk or a bike ride, it can take your mind off what's going on in the business and give you some peace of mind. The exercise tends to do that. So 15 minutes in the morning, maybe 15 minutes in the afternoon is something I like to do. Another technique is goal setting. We all have ambitious goals. That's a good thing. 1-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals. So one thing you want to think about is trying to be a time hero. For example, if you decide I'm going to be a billionaire at the end of this week, you're trying to get too much done in too short a period of time. So that can affect your mood if you're setting goals like that, where you're trying to compress everything, and then the disappointment that can come from that. You can avoid that by moderating how you set your goals. One of the things I do, we know things are coming up in life. We don't know what things might come up over the time of our goal. So allow a rolling window, time-wise, to get something accomplished. That way, if something comes up that interferes or interrupts your progress, you just say to yourself, I have this goal. I'm not walking away from the goal. The window of when it's going to achieve will need to be adjusted because of something that comes up. So that's one of the things I like to do. It's cool to set ambitious goals, but it's good to be reasonable about exactly when it's going to happen. And you definitely do not want to be a time hero trying to get too much done in too short a period of time, because that can affect your mood if you're always falling short. So you want to go easy on yourself with goal setting. Okay. So one of the things I do is no TV news. TV news is not designed to cheer people up. It's really there for a specific purpose for that network. It's generally not to help you sustain a good mood, especially if it's political stuff that can be very polarizing. It can affect the mood. So I don't consume TV. If you need to check the news, you can do that online. You can actually find, obviously news sources online, and avoid TV news entirely. So another thing I like to do is I get around people who I enjoy being with. Generally, people who are outside of work. If there's a challenge in the business and I can spend time with someone who's out of that context, that generally takes my mind off things. And so that's one thing you can think about. finding people you enjoy being with, people outside of work. I mean, you could go to the mall and go into a store and have a conversation with someone, maybe at the Apple store and talk about tech for a half an hour with someone who works in the Apple store. It doesn't have to be somebody you've known all your life, as an example. Okay, so another thing I like to do, find a way to help someone out. And that can be as simple as giving someone a compliment. You're helping them out. You're sort of telling them they're being observed and you appreciate what they're doing. If you have someone who's older in your life and they need help, you could do that. That's something you could do. Old people who are less mobile, as an example. But generally, trying to help someone out can take your mind off your own situation. Okay, and then another thing I like to do is I think of 2 or 3 things that I've been putting off that I've been wanting to do, and I decide I'm going to do that. I'm going to take some time and do something that I would enjoy doing. That will take your mind off anything that might be challenging. And then this next thing, I can put up with anything short term. That has helped me quite a bit in my career. You can tolerate anything that's tough for a short period of time. Almost anything you can put up with. And the cool thing is, most things are short term. Most things will come to a conclusion. So keeping this in mind, I can put up with anything in the short term, can really help you mentally work through something that's challenging. Okay, so another thing I like to do, if something is really challenging in the business, take a half day off. Let a subordinate take over for a half a day. Take a drive out of town. Something that will take your mind off the situation and give you time to reflect and maybe have a new opinion about how to resolve things. So taking a half day off can be a good thing to do. And then finally, there's a tea I like. It's called Tension Tamer Tea by Celestial Seasonings. Tension Tamer Tea, no caffeine. It has lots of B vitamins. It gives a great relaxing feeling, a sense of well-being. I've been using this for many years. It's a blue box. Celestial Seasonings is the brand. It's available in every grocery store. Tension Tamer Tea. It's very effective. During the COVID lockdowns, it became a little more difficult to find. I think it's because people were stressed during those days when the economy was shut down, and it was heavily bought, and so it became a little more difficult to find. But Tension Tamer Tea by Celestial Seasonings, highly recommended. I mean, that's not a product endorsement. That's just something I've used throughout my life. Another thing I want to mention is if you like caffeine, is to moderate your caffeine use if you're having a challenging situation in the business. To keep a great attitude, it's fine to have a cup of coffee, right? But if you're having a tough time, sometimes it can be good to moderate your caffeine intake so it doesn't affect your anxiety and your thinking. So those are a bunch of things that I've used to keep a positive attitude. And I hope that helps someone. I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, you can leave them in the comments section. I want to thank everyone for watching and have a great day.